Okay, welcome to the Board of Park Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, November 2nd. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers?
Here.
Mr. Emmerich?
Here.
Mrs. Westfall?
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. We have our minutes from our October 4th meeting. They've been disseminated to us prior to this meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes?
None here.
Nope.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? They stand approved. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Drake. Do you have anything to add to your report, sir?
Hello. No, I do not. I will just say, you notice in the breakdown that we have that I gave you for this month, we're still working through a couple issues with the new system. Notice we're not capturing some of the day-to-day, the daily work orders that we're doing, like trash and litter pickup and some of the mowing, things that we had set up as an automatic that happen and are generated automatically. So I'll continue to work with Doug Winning on that and get those to where they'll automatically pull up on this report when I pull that. So some of that work wasn't captured this last month, but other than those few things, you get a pretty good snapshot of what's been happening each month.
When you calculate the cost of each project, for instance, let's just take the first one.
Yes.
Install no parking on grass signs,
Right.
okay? You say it's $266.28. That'd be the cost to the city. How do you calculate
Yeah,
that?
so there's already a formula put into the work order system, and for each employee, there's the hourly rate assigned to that employee. So when we plug that employee into the system and then the equipment that's used for that job, there's also an hourly rate assigned to each piece of equipment based, I think it was on FEMA, what FEMA rates are per the type of equipment. So those are automatically tabulated by the hour per employee and per piece of equipment that's used. And then we also have a materials section if we use any particular material that gets calculated into that cost as well.
Not to make life more complicated, but shouldn't benefits also be included in there somehow?
I
Employers' FICA?
believe that's calculated with the employees, as part of the employee's hourly rate. And I
So
can
it's
double check
hourly
on
rate
that.
plus benefits.
I think that is, I can
insurance.
double check on that.
I just,
but
to get a true figure, I think you'd want to
Yeah.
consider benefits.
That is true.
So as if we had anybody that would want to reimburse us, I would think that'd be a total cost.
Yeah, this has been a huge help. Like, we've got a case right now for restitution on a tree that was broken off across from the courthouse. And so we've got good numbers, so I can just pull that work order, and I'm working with the courts right now. So it's been very helpful in those cases and give us a really good number to go on. And so, yeah, that's very true.
Okay, good. Any questions of Mr. Drake?
I just wanted to know the status of the getting ready for the Robinson Reserve.
Yeah, so we were just talking
opening.
about that. We're trying to get a date on the calendar when the Robinsons will be available, and I was just talking with Mr. Cappers, and now I guess he'll be out of town until the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We need to get that set. It's just a matter of getting everybody on the same page, calendar, schedule-wise. I'll continue to work with Mrs. Knight to get that nailed down if we can.
And it has to be done while I'm gone. I'd prefer to be here.
Yeah.
Robinson's meant a lot, but if I can't, I know we're in good hands with our vice president,
Sure.
our secretary.
Okay, we'll continue to work on that. I'll give updates as soon as Mrs. Knight and I get that worked out and get it on the calendar.
I know there was a somewhat of a sense of urgency about it because of the
Yeah.
weather and their age. and-
Yeah, that's, we were hoping, the first date we put out was pretty aggressive to try to get it scheduled and get invites and all that out and get a sign put up, but, so we're working on that. and
Is the
hopefully-
sign ready to go?
Not
or-
quite yet.
Not
no.
yet, okay.
No. So it's all in the works.
Yep, I get it.
Any other questions? Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Seiler.
Good afternoon.
Anything to add to your report, sir?
Just the fact that the arena's been very busy the last 6 weeks or so. We've had a good number of events that have taken place, and we're now in full swing with our fall and winter hockey and skating season. So we're kind of doing that day to day around the special events that we're having. Our next events are scheduled here for the early part of December with a couple more concerts and a hockey tournament. That's all I have.
Good.
How have your numbers been on events?
We had one event that was actually, went on sale pre-pandemic. That was.
Was that Travis
attended-
Tritt?
Yeah, Travis Tritt was
He
very
got
well attended.
rescheduled.
Was
several times.
rescheduled. We had 4 different dates for that show, so that finally did happen, thankfully.
Okay,
Really, really good turnout. We were close to sold out on that event.
good.
We've had, I believe it was 4 other concerts that went on sale post-pandemic. Sales on those haven't been as good. I think just there's still some hesitancy out there about buying tickets for indoor events. They did okay, but not as they would have done in the past. And then we had an Irish dance event. I think it was the second week of October, and that was well attended. They usually have 2 of those events a year, and that went very well. And they had done some during the pandemic, but were modified slightly to reduce numbers at any given time in the facility. But this was kind of back to normal and really went off very well. So we're slowly getting back to normal operations.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Any other questions? Thank you. Mr. Brewer, welcome. Do you have anything to add to your reports?
Just that things are at least sort of starting to wind down, although we've still got a few months left in our season here. But our numbers have continued to be really strong through October, and golf course continues to be in really good shape. So.
Good. Short and sweet. I like it. Any questions of Kyler? Thank you. I've got no planning commission report. New business. We are blessed to have our city engineer with us today. Jill, do you want to go ahead and make the presentation?
Good afternoon. I'm just asking the park board to kind of bless, this is all a part of the West Main Street project. This is actually phase 2, Minky Park. As a part of the widening, we will be requesting a temporary easement as well as a utility easement. The 5-foot utility easement was recently added to the project on the south side of the road. Due to the fact that DP&L, we're trying to get everything buried. So the DP&L, the utility duct bank that's going to have all the communications and fiber optic people, and then as well as we have to locate streetlight poles, and then there's some electric, maybe, I don't know if they're on the south side. On the north side, there's some transformers, and then also water meters. So this 5-foot utility easement, since it was added to the project recently, it's encroaching 5 foot more onto Minky Park. It's not affecting anything more than what was being affected before. So I think there were 3 trees, or I think some kind of plantings that were going to be removed as a part of the West Main Street project. It's the exact same thing. Access isn't going to be affected during the project. It's going to still maintain accessibility, everything like that. So it's just asking the park board to kind of bless it and say, yes, we understand, we really won't be affected, and the project can proceed. But it's because it's a parkland.
Have you had any problems getting the additional 5-foot easement from any of the neighbors?
We just, so this is actually this is in advance of us evaluating any of the properties and then going out and reaching out to them. So the parklands are kind of, they're a part of the environmental review. So it's in advance of us going out and actually coordinating and discussing individually with these property owners. We have sent letters out, and I've had 2 property owners contact me, one being a couple houses down from Minky, and then the other one being on the north side, that we're asking some utility easements.
This is not an environmental matter, it's more of a safety matter. With this project, are we able to go ahead and push the sidewalks farther away from the street,
Yes, so the project will be widen the street 7 feet total. So 3.5, it'll widen the street 3.5 feet on each side, and then there'll be 3 to 4 foot tree lawn, and then the sidewalk. So the sidewalks will literally sit on the back of the right-of-way, which the right-of-way, if you remember a couple years ago, and if you actually, I just happened to realize the other day I was on Google Street View, that when they took Google Street View the last time, at least a certain portion of it, there were stakes with pink flags on them. That's kind of where the right-of-way is. So it is pretty far into people's yards. They probably don't realize it, but I've had some really good feedback. A couple of the people realized what was going on, and they were like, "You're taking up my yard." And I said, "I understand, but we're really not taking, like, this utility easement would be for like a water meter pit. going to be subgrade. I don't even think Minky Park, I don't know where the water meter pit is specifically for Minky Park, if it is in the right-of-way now, or if, because it's city facility, if it's out of the right-of-way. I'm not sure, so, but that's really what it's for. It's just where we can't fit all the utilities that are underground in the right-of-way, and we just requested it all the way down on the south side.
Jeremy, any thoughts?
Yeah, no issues that I can see at all. No concerns.
Jill, you want to present whatever you need me to sign?
Yeah.
And I would ask some motion to go ahead and have me sign
Yeah,
this.
I'll make a motion to approve the easement.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Okay.
Thank you.
November 2nd already, wow. Thank you, Jill.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you. We have a non-agenda item yet we probably need to talk to, and that is the memorandum of understanding that the library has presented us about Bruckner Park. As you will recall, they had presented some time ago a memorandum of understanding asking us that if they were to do their capital campaign and get enough money to build the new library, that they would permit us, we would permit them to go ahead and build it upon what is now Bruckner Park, okay? They've recently made some changes. I don't know that you guys got it, maybe you haven't or haven't, but now the memorandum of understanding is more tantamount to a contract to purchase Bruckner Park for $48,000. How do you guys feel about that? They would, let me just read the provisions down here. The Troy-Miami County Public Library shall provide compensation in the amount of $48,000 to the city of Troy for Bruckner Park. Work with the Board of Park Commissioners to find a suitable way to honor the Rotary Club of Troy. Relocate any commemorative plaques or other memorabilia from Bruckner Park not relocated by city staff, and maintain the wrought iron black fencing from Bruckner Park if feasible in the new design of the library. I had asked our law director to take a look at this to see if he had any comments, and he got into a couple of the minutia items and did indicate that city council would have to approve any sale. But what do you guys think about the general overall thought about selling Bruckner Park to them as opposed to seeing whether or not they meet their capital campaign?
Well, they obviously have a plan for that area. So what is that plan?
Well, yeah, that was one of the parts of the memorandum of understanding that was the
From
first
the beginning,
phase
yeah, wasn't it?
Was to
Yeah.
provide us with a plan for our approval until such time as they go ahead and meet their capital campaign. But that isn't in this draft anymore.
So is it something with the bless, or can we say, hey, once you've reached your capital campaign, then we'll?
Well, we can do whatever we want. I mean, we don't have to sell it to them. Perhaps it'd be best if I read the whole thing to you since you don't have a copy.
Yeah.
Would that be okay? And I'm not going to read what I just read, but the library is embarking on a capital campaign to raise funds to build a new library campus, which would include green space in the 400 block of West Main Street. The land known as Bruckner Park, owned by the city of Troy, is needed to make that happen. The city of Troy shall transfer to the Miami County Public Library the property known as Bruckner Park, representing approximately half an acre, commonly known as Miami County, Ohio tax parcel, blah, 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 upon execution of the agreement. Now, it doesn't say blah, blah, blah. The real estate referred to herein shall be used for the use and purpose of promoting nonprofit library, educational, extracurricular, and interscholastic activities and other uses incidental and related thereto, but for no other purpose whatsoever except as specifically provided herein. And in case said premises shall cease to be used or occupied for such purposes, then said property shall revert to and be vested in the city of Troy. The very first part of that paragraph, transfer to the Miami County Public Library, is the contract language. Okay, it's not something that, hey, you will transfer it to us upon the happening of these events, which is like a memorandum of understanding. The property shall be conveyed to the Miami County Public Library subject to the following restrictive covenants. the Troy Miami County Public Library, by its acceptance of such conveyance, shall agree that the preceding restrictive covenants reversionary clause shall remain in effect in perpetuity. 2, shall run with the land. 3, shall be binding upon the Troy Miami County Public Library and Troy Miami County Public Library successors and assigns. And 4, shall inure to the benefit and be enforceable by actions of law or in equity by city or city's successors entitled to all or any part of the interest in the property. Those last 2 paragraphs which sound like a lot of legalese. I got to confess, I prepared them. But that was also part of the previous memorandum of understanding. They should be incorporated, or at least some of these should be incorporated into the final contract. But personally, I think we ought to get back after we indicate whether or not we want to do a memorandum of understanding, which, if you go to law school, a memorandum of understanding is not a contract. You know, things can change. Or whether or not we want a contract. We want to satisfy their request to enter into a purchase contract. I don't know that they're ready for that yet.
Well, we had already approved.
Approve
that
the
they
memorandum of
could-
understanding.
Right.
Right.
So we know they're probably going to use it. We're just
Yeah.
deciding to sell here, is that correct?
Well, the memorandum of understanding that was originally approved said they've got to meet their capital campaign first. And they've got to give us plans that we approve. Okay. Neither one of those things have happened yet. And now they're coming to us with, hey, I want you to sell it to us, and we'll do with it. I don't know. You know. So alternatives. We can say no to this. We can say yes to this. We can say, as a third alternative, what are you guys doing? What do you want? Because this doesn't sound like what you proposed to start out with. What do you guys want to do?
So regardless of what we're going to do, it's going to go to city council, and city council is going to have to, we're making a recommendation up to city council. City council will have to have some action on it and
I
a
think-
greater discussion at that level.
That's going to end up happening eventually. I think what happens is that we need to get an agreement between the library board and us as to a frame of mind that we're both on the same page.
Well, this seems a little premature to me, only because we don't even know what the timeline is.
Right, right. Okay, so I guess what I'm looking at is we need to communicate more with them and say, listen, what do you guys really want? Are you looking for a contract, or are you looking for the revamp of the memorandum of understanding? Jeremy, you haven't heard anything more from the
I don't have
director?
anything new or additional
Okay.
to this point, other than what you have before you right there.
Hi, Mr. Terrington, how you doing? Have you heard anything more about this library issue that I represented?
Well, only that they have had some reorganization internally. I'm not sure how far along they really are on their campaign. I know they've been talking about some alternatives, perhaps including, but not limited to, the reuse of a current building downtown, such as it may be. So I'm not aware that they are moving very quickly at this point. I
And
know
this
that,
48,000 isn't going to make or break their campaign.
you know, they presented it originally as a need to understand whether that is an option, and I think the board, and I'd have to check my notes, but I believe even the council, at least informally, weighed in on that. I can tell you that in one way that we weighed in on it is that with Jeremy's help and a lot of grant funding, you know, we've already come up with an alternative location for a gazebo out at Treasure Island. And so we have been, you know, I think we've communicated as much as we can that our intent is not to stand in the way should they get to that point. I'm not sure how quickly we would want to commit that property if in fact this campaign doesn't come to fruition or succeed. But at this point, they do understand, I believe, that, you know, we're amenable to the transfer.
Right, good.
So
Thank you, sir.
is there any benefit to delaying the sale?
Well, yeah, I don't think we're prepared to sell yet. Not if we are interested in seeing what their plan is and seeing whether or not they make a capital campaign. I think one of their board members expressed an interest to show their donors that they own the property before they go out and solicit the funds. But I don't know that that would be any hindrance if they had a signed memorandum of understanding saying that we will do this once the funds are accumulated. So, I don't know.
So when we originally had that discussion, we actually didn't, to my knowledge, discuss any type of cost associated with the transfer of property, right? Then none of that was
No.
even brought up, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So am I looking at this as this is kind of almost a bonus for us or not? Like, you know what I mean, is if we haven't originally, you know, I think we're all in favor of, hey, once we get a plan, you know, we can talk about that transfer in land. And obviously the Rotary Club came back with a gazebo, but, you know, now, am I taking this as we're kind of getting a bone as far as we're getting some dollars back, and maybe that goes into the Rotary Club, or goes into the gazebo redo at the new place, and we can put that back into other equipment?
Probably go in the general fund.
Probably go in the general fund, and then we can decide how to.
Yeah, in the first draft of the memorandum of understanding, first reiteration of this, there was no mention of any compensation.
Yeah.
And now we've got $48,000. I don't mind having money. Don't
Yeah.
Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, but I think there's enough other problems with this version. Here's my thinking, and you guys can say yea or nay or whatever, but I would suggest that we not take any action on this, that we tell Jeremy or staff or somebody to get back to the library director and tell her we're still on the same page as we were with the memorandum of understanding, but is it their desire now to really own it before the campaign or not? Because that'll change our way of thinking as to whether or not we want to let go of Bruckner Park, not knowing whether or not they're going to actually have a successful campaign.
Will the city still take care of it, or would
Oh, it's our park.
they,
Yeah.
but I mean, if we sell it to them, do they have to find their own maintenance?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
well, they may want to consider that.
that's right. I don't think Jeremy would be too unhappy with that. So, okay, is that acceptable to you guys?
To
or-
delay it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Who has, Jeremy, would you contact the
Sure.
director?
I could, yeah, I'll get back with
Sure.
you. Yes.
Okay, let her know what we've done. Okay. Mr. Terry, I'm sorry, you left the podium. Do you have anything else to come before the board today?
No, sir.
Hi, Mayor, do you have anything you want to bring up? No. Okay, anybody else have anything they need to address? Commissioners have anything they want to talk about? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There's a second by Mrs. Westfall. All those in
Yes.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.